Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to have you back to this last session of the soil seminar, the EIP-AGRI. I hope you enjoyed your lunch and you are full of energy to go through this last part, which is specially dedicated to networking and finding our opportunities. As we are now used to it, we're going to go in the baseline check, how high is the energy, so we can kind of adapt our investment. So can I invite you shortly to open your camera and to put your mosaic session and tell us where you are right now. Digestion is pressing on the energy level, or is it the thoughts of this morning that are more or less, yeah, something at all, some are a bit off the head. That's brilliant. Well, we have to keep this energy. So we're going to ask Margarida to, sorry, I mistake each time, Margarida, to give us some extra energy to go through this afternoon. Sorry, Margarida.
Thank you, Niels, no problem. So yes, we need extra energy. So I have a new challenge for you all. So please turn your cameras on. We'll be doing some physical exercises. So what we'll do is that I will start and I'll make a movement that you all need to repeat. Afterwards, the spotlight camera will choose someone randomly, and this person needs to do a different movement that we all should repeat. And then we go again. So we do this until 2 or 3 times until the time is finished. Okay? So I'll start. So the movement is this. Put your hands on your shoulders and move them round to the back. And now to the front. Okay, great. So now spotlight camera. Who's next? Great, Bea, your movement. Nice. Thank you very much, Bea. Spotlight camera, next one. Okay, Adrian, your turn. Yeah, that's nice indeed.
Wow.
Thank you. Spotlight camera, one more time, last time. Ah, Carola, your turn. Ooh, nice. Great. Thank you so much, all of you. Hope you're full of energy. Niels, back to you.
Thank you, Margarida. So nice. Okay, so we're back into soil functions. You have been working in breakout sessions. I had some many feedbacks from the different facilitators that have been supporting you in these discussions. And I think it's always important to have to share those learnings so we get to a common understanding. So we build this what we call social social learning process, that we get to a common understanding. Is anybody willing to tell us something about the discussions of this morning, which were especially interesting, especially new, especially worthy to be shared? Please feel free to open your microphone and to take the floor.
I can share some insights.
Yes, please. Pleasure,
yeah, well, we had some nice different talks.
Could
about
you shortly present yourself? So
yeah,
know where you are from.
I'm Francie from Germany, from a Vegetable Research Institute. close to Berlin. And yeah, we discussed about the different aspects of the soil functions, and we ended up the last minutes talking about the nutrient cycling part. And there we had some nice talk, the final discussion, the last minutes about the social acceptance. That's quite important to assess the social, or integrate the social acceptance for recycling fertilizers. I mean, especially when they're waste-based from human excreta, sewage sludge, or any new novel product. So from a farmer side or farmer perspective, of course, if they want to integrate it, or also from the consumer side, it's quite important. If you grow vegetables in urine, it's not that easy to integrate, although it's a nice fertilizer. So it's quite important that projects dealing with recycling fertilizers really also tackle the aspect of social acceptance.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any clues how you can enhance social acceptance for this? Did you get to some kind of solutions or beginnings of solutions in that direction? Maybe
and we discussed the problem.
Else, or somebody else of your group maybe can add on, or yourself.
Yeah, where we tackled mainly the problem, but I know several projects now as well. I have been working with human excreta, that it's of course living labs or like demonstrator projects. They help a lot if you have a toilet in a city that produces fertilizer and the vegetables grown out of it, and you have some cooperations with farmers. It's always the key, and of course raise awareness and explain what the necessity. And that has been done for 100 years ago. It was quite normal to do it. So I think it's just education and showing.
Thank you very much. I see that Anna has raised her hand. Would you like to tell us about your discussions?
I wanted to go back to what Francie was telling us. And I was just asking myself, since social acceptance of, depending on what we are talking about, right? So residues coming up from houses, but not just houses, also like sometimes our industries. There is a lot of talking about that, about whether or not they should be used or not used, or are they safe, or do they mix things that shouldn't be there. So the circular bioeconomy, it's perfect, but we need to bear in mind that the soil has a very strong memory. So we don't want to waste it, and we don't want to put anything that is harmful for the soil. This is the baseline. So is a blockchain system something available for tracing what we wouldn't want to put back to the soil? If this is from any kind of compost, I mean, if it's green compost, easy. But if compost comes from very different solutions, that's another stuff.
So a blockchain system for ensuring traceability of the origin of the fertilizers to avoid contamination with undesired pollutants, I think. I see that John has raised his hand. Would you like to share your discussion or add something on to what is going on?
I think one of the key conclusions out of our discussion group is the interconnectivity of each of the functions of soil. And when we go to find solutions to improve our soil, how they interconnect. So when we did our water infiltration, then we did carbon sequestration, then we did when we went through how you saw the same things coming up, like in our case. So I run a lighthouse farm and a living lab in Ireland. And we're specializing in switching from perennial ryegrass, which is a monoculture, to multi-species with legumes and herbs, and how the legumes and herbs are improving soil biodiversity, they're improving carbon sequestration, they're improving water infiltration, but most importantly, they're also improving profits. And as a lighthouse farm, the role we play then in that knowledge exchange in peer-to-peer learning, in actually showing how, by changing one key management practice, in our case, going from perennial ryegrass to multi-species swards with herbs and legumes, we've delivered on multiple public goods, multiple soil functions, but we've also improved our resilience in that farm business and profitability in that farm business.
Great, great. Many thanks for this. May I just ask you back, Adrian, I saw your hand, I come back to you. This lighthouse system, what is the key factor so this lighthouse farm project is especially efficient or has all its potential used up?
So we have been a lighthouse farm now for 3 years. We were selected by Rosenow University and Research in our global network of lighthouse farms. So there are 11 lighthouse farms in 4 continents. The key selection criteria is that we had to be a working farm that had gone beyond best practice. Our farm, we are driving carbon smart farming. We're on course to deliver carbon neutral beef and lamb production by 2025. We've been on this journey since 2014, but it was our discipline of creating baselines and measuring our change against those baselines that drew us apart. That eventually was the reason we were selected as a lighthouse farm, is that we could show the change. As we changed our management practices, we could show the change in our natural capital, in our soils, in our biodiversity, but also in our profitability. And our ability to share that with fellow farmers in peer-to-peer learning.
Great, great. Congratulations for that. Adrian, you wanted to take the floor, please open your mic.
Yeah, I just want to raise on John's lighthouse practice. I'm really keen to see some results from that. Where would I be able to find those results from the project, from the trials you've done already in your project?
So there's 2 parts to our project. There is the lighthouse farm, which is about how we've taken what was a tired farm and transformed it. And I can furnish you with a collection of webinars we've already done. There is the second bit, which is the Living Lab. The Living Lab is a joint project with Rosenow University and Research, with University College Dublin and Marie Curie. And we have 5 PhD students working on the system from soil to society through multi-species. And that we're not, we can share sort of ongoing developments as such, but we also have to respect, we've got 5 PhD students who have to get papers published out of it. So there's this, one of the downsides of Living Lab, we can show people when they come and visit the lighthouse, we can show them the Living Lab and we can show what we're doing. But we also have to respect, because of the funding we have, we need to help the 5 PhD students, because of the Marie Curie program is specifically about interdisciplinary learning and helping the next generation. So I'm happy I put into the chat function my email.
Yeah, maybe also on the to Adrian and to all others, if you have questions or demand like that for matching, use the opportunity market. Maybe others will be interested to join and to get more information through that.
It's just on that. It's in the opportunity market. I have put 2 things already.
Great.
So I have put a link to the global network of lighthouse farms, where you'll see our project. But I have also put a link to the Heartland project, which is the Marie Curie project. So there are 2 links already on the opportunity page.
Great, great. So to all those who are interested, go and visit the opportunity market, and maybe you can already try to start first connections to this project. Thank you very much for this sharing and interactions. Any other learned lessons, striking ideas that came out of the discussions of this morning? I'm gonna do something a bit special from my right of a facilitator, just nominate somebody and ask almost randomly, because I have some indicators that help me to select some people. Maybe Luca Becchini.
Yes, here I am.
Still with us. You have some beautiful sunflowers. What happened for you? What struck you this morning in the discussion? What are your takeaways?
Many different things. One suggestion, one consideration I received by the, I don't remember his name, the person from the lighthouse farm in Ireland.
John.
He was underlined that they need measurement tools for achievements, and I think this is really a crucial point. I mean, we have evidence from experiments about how the management, soil and crop management practices behave under experimental conditions, but then each farmer will implement these practices in a personal way. Let's say they will be adapted to the local conditions, to the specific soil, specific climate, specific rotation, and so on. And so every outcome in every single situation will be slightly different than an average. Okay, we know that there is such variation. And so one key point is to let's say, empower each single farmer to make his or her own measurements.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any clue how this empowerment could best be provided?
Well, one are rapid methods. We know that it's not exactly my field of specialization, but I know that there are many scientists working on rapid soil analysis, rapid slurry analysis, and so on. So this for sure is one achievement, one possibility, and for all sorts of variables, and not only chemical variables, but also biological activity and so on.
Good. Okay, thank you very much, Luca, for your sharing. John, I saw your hand, but except if it's very specific response to Luca, maybe I give the floor to somebody else, but go on if it's directly.
Chair, it is about empowerment of farmers. So we have been running a public-private partnership in Ireland around 3 catchments where we've done precision soil sampling analysis, and we've done aerial LiDAR studies where we've married the two together to give farmers soil and nutrient runoff risk maps. And in those catchments, we've had 80% farmer engagement, and 18 months later, 80% positive behavioral change. And we find this issue that Luca has made, if you empower farmers with good quality information about their own farm, they will change their behavior. And that is our experience in Ireland.
Thank you very much for this additional input, John. This is very valuable learnings. I hope they will be useful for some others in this audience. Who else would like to share something in this direction or something completely different that has been going on this morning? Don't be shy. Just click on the button left on the small button microphone and open your mic and take the floor. What struck you this morning? Nothing? I can't believe it. Kaylee, you're opening your microphone. Please tell us.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to comment. It doesn't really seem to matter whose group you're in or who's talking, but there is so much common thought about the interconnectivity of everything that we talk about: the soil, the animals, the health of the animals, the health of the soil, the health of the people, that it's so tied in. And I guess as a farmer, increasing that range of animals and biodiversity on your farm. So as many species of animals, as many species of plants that you can actually incorporate into your method of farming. And then I think really importantly is the data measuring and having an accurate data measuring a baseline, as John mentioned, and Luca, you know, that we can have something that we can actually, we can measure our baseline, but then we can measure going forward, are we successful? Because it's all visual for me anyway, and pH soil testing. So that's something that I would really love to get involved in and find out more information about.
Great, great. So once again, put your demand and in a green card on the opportunity market, and all those who feel able to give you some additional solutions or clues to go on, that maybe you could give a green card to give an answer to that.
Brilliant. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, that would be a very nice opportunity exchange. Thank you, Kylie. Who else has something striking new, or some disillusion or some frustration that is also possible? Huh? Something that you think it still doesn't move, it still has to be work done.
Hello?
Yeah, go on. Sorry, I can't see you, but you're probably on my other screen. Go on, just take the mic and speak out.
Yeah, I just like to echo what John
David
has said. I'm very taken by the principle that he mentioned about farmer empowerment, and it's the key, I believe, to making progress on developing our soils and moving them in the right direction. Our project has as a fundamental concept the notion of farmer empowerment, and we have taken extensive baseline data. We will be making it available shortly, and it covers comprehensive soil tests, bioassays, VES and water infiltration rates. And our initial baseline data showed that we had significant mineral imbalances, but most importantly, the biological imbalances were very predominant on all 12 farms. We have half tillage, half grassland. And we, like John, we're looking at multi-species swards as an element to bring about greater diversity in swards. And we're looking at catch cropping, cover cropping, and companion planting understory crops for the main commercial tillage crops, as well as min-till approaches, and moving away from deep ploughing. And yeah, I just think that the issue of everything being integrated is an inescapable reality, and that does make it very difficult from an academic point of view or a research point of view, in that there's a natural tendency to try and minimize the number of parameters that are in a research program, simply because once the parameters extend beyond a reasonable number, the cost and the efficacy of the research work becomes a lot more complicated, a lot more expensive. But and I think there's a lesson in that too, that we need more direct farmer trials with the farmers as being a key element in it, along with researchers. And I think we'll get a faster response time as to what will work and what won't work, because the farmer is living with the experience on an everyday, 7-day-a-week basis, and his intuition, his disposition, or his or her disposition or intuition and response to what he's seeing is very pragmatic. It may not fit into the slots of a scientific review of it, but in conjunction with cooperative work with the researchers attached to it, I think progress can be made at a much greater speed, and I think at a less economic cost as well. They're just my thoughts on it.
David, may I ask you, you spoke about your project. Could you just name it and frame it, and what kind of project?
Yeah, our project is called the DAY2 Farming Group, And our project is a transition to biological farming from conventional farming. And it's a 5-year project. We're starting our 3rd year now. We've 2 seasons done already. And as I said, we put comprehensive baseline data together. And our ongoing monitoring of what we're happening now is on a fortnightly basis with the crops and swards. We're doing plant sap analysis with NovaCrop, which is giving us a very, very detailed examination of the dynamics of how nutrient uptake is behaving. And it's fascinating, actually. We're quite astounded at what we're seeing. Intuitively, we know there are certain limitations and certain problems, but issues like adequate magnesium uptake, calcium, the various relationships between all the nutrients, we're seeing that exhibited very clearly. And we've used SAP analysis rather than tissue analysis, because tissue analysis has too long a lag time, and it's much more difficult to come back with remedial action.
Another quick analysis tool is SAP analysis instead of tissues. Yeah, great. I see Adrian would like to react on that. Thank you, David, for your input.
Yeah, just a quick question for David as well. David, are you measuring how much water, the water holding capacity is on the farm as well? So, for instance, one of the projects which I'm trying to put together at the moment is trying to get farmers to understand how much water they need for their business and what their potential water holding capacity is in the soils, to feed the plant and to grow the dry matter. So, I mean, is that equated into your farming group?
It's a very good question. As I said, Adrian, we did do water infiltration rates, and we were quite shocked at those results. For the most part, they were poor, below anywhere near what would be considered optimum infiltration rates. We hadn't got the resources at the start to look at water reserves as such. It's complex enough, but we would be judging it as an adjunct to that, or an alternative would be carbon and carbon quantity and type of carbon, especially. We don't just look at organic matter, we look at labile carbon as well, and we're also looking at humus where we can. In other words, the 3 different types. And we're particularly interested in the liquid carbon pathway, where we're now aware from most recent research that the necromass, biological necromass, is a major contribution to carbon stock, and it's fast. And this is where I think guys like John Gilliand with the multi-species swards, perhaps I'm wrong, but I think part of the underground response and improvement they're seeing there is as a consequence of this type of carbon that's useful as a mineral store as well, and it can be developed very, very, very fast. And we've moved away from focusing on litter and detritus alone. They're extremely important, but I think my expectation would be, because I'm sure, Adrian, you found the same thing. We've had 2 droughts, which in Ireland in 2018 and last year as well. For us, it's very, very unusual if they go beyond more than 3 weeks. And we found a catastrophic collapse in grass output on the majority of farms. And interestingly,
Maybe we could suggest that you go on with the very specific discussion in the next section, because we're going to have a breakout sessions where you can go freely if you want to go deeper in those discussions. So that we can have maybe some other inputs. My indicators or spies told me that Cohen Willekens, you also had some very intensive discussions this morning. Would you like to share with us some learnings that you went across this morning, or specific aspects that haven't been addressed until now?
Goodbye. I'm Koen Willekens from ILFO, from a research center in Flanders about agriculture, fisheries and food. And I was surprised in the discussion by the connection of the different soil functions, because the the water filtering, the nutrient cycling, so carbon sequestration and productivity, all is interrelated, and I think we have to be aware of that, and and finding the right, the good management practices that enhance all these functions, that might enhance all these functions together.
Great. It's again and again, interrelation, interactions. We heard many different persons talking about these interactions. Are there other aspects that have been came up this morning in the discussion that somebody would like to share? Something completely different.
I have something completely
different.
Yes,
Rosenow, please.
Well, this came up to my mind as I read what's the title of the discussion? It's about healthy soils for healthy people and healthy environment. And I was really impressed by a lecture of a doctor, PhD from Denmark, Dr. Jens Otto Andersen. He learned me a lot about this connection, about the health of soils and health of plants and animals, and then people who eat these plants and animals. And perhaps I can just share with you the link for this his lecture. This is really a perfect lecture. And then he showed us cucumbers from 3 types of agriculture production, from organic, from biodynamic, and from how do you call it? You feed with only with
hydroponics.
Water. Hydroponics, yes. And I was really surprised because he cut the cucumbers to slices of 2 centimeters and then put it in the folia and in the 24 degrees. And after 14 days, the cucumber from the hydroponics was totally, rotten. It was totally fluid. And from the organic, it was yellow, and from biodynamic, it was green. And for me, it was surprisingly that these parts grow together. Really, like, it was very tight. And I can share with you this link because for me, it was really, I didn't know as an agronomist that a cucumber has such power to grow together 2 centimeters sliced. And from this method, he developed this method, to show people how can we show how vital the food is. And I will send you his scientific research, and because we also imported cucumbers for his research from Slovenia.
If that's a very nice testimony. Maybe you could put this link on the
I will.
Opportunity market, so those who are interested can go further. That's the best place to share it. Great. I'm very pleased to have heard so many discussions, and I'm very grateful for all those who have shared their experience from those discussions of this morning. I think it's very useful to build up the common ground. Before we would like now to go to the next step, and I think it's going to be a highlight for all of those who like interactions and are interested to make connections and to build up networks and to share information and to empower their competencies and to put them into reality. This is the opportunity market. So in the next 45 minutes, you will have the opportunity to go in deep into this opportunity market. I will show you again how it works with the support of Ina. So if you go to the platform, I think, yeah, the code is if you want to find somebody to grow future projects, you put the green card and the orange card for the have a proposal, and the green card for the demand. So, for example, Vesna, you have a proposal of an internet site. You can put up a card, put in the link and a few words to discuss. So anybody who is interested maybe can put another card to it to say, yes, we could do something together to disseminate this or to build up a project or whatever. And again, here we have, you can see there are already many proposals. So it's time for you to go and visit this marketplace. That's the way we try to imagine. You go and look at the different offers, and maybe you're gonna get into contact. We actually prepared, in addition to that, and maybe we can go to the virtual platform so we can show you. At the bottom of the room, you can see there are several different rooms with some very nice names. There is a bar, there's a coffee shop, but for those who prefer to be outside, there is a forest and different places like that. Each of these rooms are Zoom sessions where you can go to freely. There will be a host, and you will be able to carry on any discussion you like to carry on. There is a Google Doc available for you if you like to take some notes, if there is something that you would like to share with the larger public. And if you arrive in a room that is already busy, either you go for another room or you can ask the host to open a breakout session for you, so you can discuss freely your topics. The challenge is to find the partner. For that, you have the chat on the right side of the area. If you found on the opportunity market somebody's name, you can go in the participants list and find the name and send her a message. Hi, John, I'm interested to do something with you. Let's meet at the bar. And then you go to the bar, and hopefully John is going to meet you there. Maybe you wait until he says, okay, we meet at the bar, because if you didn't see your message, you might spend your afternoon waiting for somebody who didn't see your message. So you must be aware of your messaging in the platform. So you see that when people are sending you messages, and so that you can respond. Go to the marketplace to see if there are any opportunities you want to work on, and try to exchange and to build up different kinds of projects. The aim of all this is then after the coffee break that we meet together and we try to share together the different opportunities you found, what kind of connections you have already built up, so we can have as a harvest of this whole seminar, to have a list of different connections that will be the seeds for the future that we will plant this afternoon. I would open the floor if there are any understanding questions, because it might be a bit complex. There are many aspects. There's a marketplace, there are the sitting rooms or the discussion rooms, and there is the virtual platform and the chat you can use to get into contact. And the aim is to build up opportunities and put the seeds for the future collaborations. Any questions?
I have a question, Neil.
Yes, Vesna?
Are we going to get this, these notes from the opportunity market? Because there are so many that I cannot hear.
Yes.
This would be very nice that you just put them in a document, and perhaps we will then, when we have time, look at the really
Yeah,
each,
this is already planned. So probably on Monday, in the first time, you're going to have the access to the link to the Padlet itself. So you still can read it directly. And in the final version, you will have a PDF recapping all these topics. We are coming to the very last part of this seminar. We would like to collect your feedbacks from this great market. Maybe, Ina, you could set up the marketplace to see a visual illustration of the situation as it is now. I see many tags. We could zoom out a bit so we can have an overview of the diversity. It will be difficult anyway to read them all. Yeah, I see there is really a lot of things, a lot of arrows, but still some open space if we want to add some in the last half an hour 45 minutes that we are together this afternoon. So yes, maybe it's the moment to count how many connections that have been made this afternoon, and to know what kind of connections that have been possible to make. Is there anybody that would like to start and to tell what is the most interesting connection that she or he could do this afternoon? Is there any project, any special findings that we could share together? Who would like to start? There are still some of us here, so hopefully that something happened. There's all those connections. Is there anything that was possible to establish?
Yeah,
yes,
maybe.
Please go on, Anna.
I was having a chat. I was having a chat with Harm from the Netherlands about wireworms. So we were discussing ways, or we are still discussing ways to reduce them because they're upcoming in his region. And I was talking with Elena about her plants that are able to take up contaminants from soils. And she's researching them in the lab and on field. She couldn't pick a top 3 of plants. But the choice of plant depends on the contaminant and the soil properties. And the big question is still, what are we going to do with the plants that have taken up all the contaminants? And there is the possibility to produce biochar, but what about the contaminants in the biochar? And also what's very interesting to me is the idea to recycle in like important metals out of the plants and reuse them again. So it will be interesting to see what Elena is going to do in the future with her research.
Were you able to make up any commitment for future action? And you stay in contact?
Well,
Is there
no,
any-
not any commitment, but for sure, if Anna is interested, there is a whole scientific society looking at plant and decontamination. So maybe we can be in touch and I can try to subscribe her. I am the secretary of this society.
Oh, that would be
It's
very.
it's the International Phytotechnology Society.
Right. A
So
follow.
so we have one connection here that happened. It's brilliant.
And on my turn, I connected with
Please.
Vincent Michel. We spoke about the need of rapid tests that are visible to the farmers instead of expensive analyses, which have to be interpreted by scientists. So he has some very good idea about developing kits or something like that, that for some specific application could be probably very good for farmers. You know, now there are several things like app on the smartphones or these kind of things, or personalized sensors, like you have your own sensors for CO2. So, I mean, the market is continuously evolving for this kind of application. So I think there could be some possibility, but if we need the scientific rationale behind all of this. So for instance, how you get a rapid test for soil health or soil quality or microbes or anything.
Mm-hmm. And there you stayed with lots of questions, but did you have any clue or any
well, the clue is that we need some fundings.
Okay,
no,
we have
not we, because I'm not in the market for this kind of things, but yeah, for sure. The fact that we need probably some new attention or dedicated calls or something like that. I mean, in Europe, we have already some, let's say, initiatives, no? Like you think the JRC and all the work they are doing on the soil atlas, soil database, soil here, soil there, but how to translate this into something more usable?
Open question, huh?
Yeah, open
so
question.
If we are on the market, there is a green card called financing or funding for a quick test. Is there anybody with an orange card which could say, yes, we could look there and there for have a funding?
Michel, I think, had an orange card saying that he was wanting to develop something quick based on other applications, etc. And there were also the other different orange boxes discussing tests and indicators. Well, you know, probably there is not even a real agreement about what is relevant for health and quality. Okay, so you cannot devise simple and rapid tests for anything. But if there is the knowledge that some of the parameters are more relevant than others, then we can focus on those. But then again, we need research. And if we need research, then we need money.
Well, so if there is anybody with a bank account which could subsidize this
Horizon Europe, of course.
But I mean,
Europe have the bank account.
I can add into the discussion that we might also look for private involvement. Ekelkamp is a huge, big company that has all the equipment for all the tests that could be possible. So if that form of collaboration with them, that could be also another opportunity. Of course, they are business people and they want to sell, but I mean, the more their equipment are visible also to those people who are interested, then there are possibilities that you can also attract. And this is well known in many places around the world. Businesses do invest money also for this type of research, and we can look at the
Oh yes,
opportunities for
you're
this.
right. I was forgetting that there are already several people selling also machines and
course.
sensors and yeah.
So maybe this is if you still have time to go back to the opportunity market to put it in the remarks so that it can be taken up. Well, thank you very much for this sharing, and we still have an open request for a funding for a new app to measure soil health. Very shortly, some synthesized. What else appeared to be relevant this afternoon? What connection could you do? Yeah, John, please.
Well, I, like a good Irishman, ended up in the pasture room. Surprise, surprise, and found,
how surprising.
How surprising, and found another Irishman there too. But I was joined by a great farming lady from Bavaria, a lady from Estonia, a lady from Austria, some Spanish. So we had a good cross-Europe conversation. And most of us were actually farmers. So, we were maybe less interested in looking for research projects, but actually sharing experiences about how we answered the problems that we're facing. And it really came from a comment from the lady from Bavaria of the ever-increasing extreme weather events that they are having in Bavaria. And we said we were having something similar in Ireland. We're getting more intense rain. We're now getting droughts, which we not normally have in Ireland. And so we really started to talk about that and its impact on our own farms and the observations around that and how that is energizing us around that. And also the consequence on our trees, for example. You know, our trees are really struggling to actually adapt to these, these more extreme rainfall events and the impact on our soils, trying to keep our soils there. And really what we expressed collectively was a frustration that current research output looks through a lot of single lenses or silos. But we as farmers have to look at a systems-based approach, and our frustration that traditional extension of agricultural knowledge was through sort of individual innovations as such and not helping us take a systems-based approach. And that got us speaking, really reflecting on empowering ourselves, empowering our neighbors, our peer farmers. And just the frustration we have that too many times people talk at us and not with us. And this issue of actually treating farmers as humans, that they've brains too, and the need that the engagement needs to be an inclusive engagement where farmers believe they have ownership in it, that their feelings matter, and they're not always talked at. And I explained about our role as a lighthouse farm in the role that we play in peer-to-peer learning. And really the motivation I get out of it is actually watching my fellow farmers change their opinion during the visit and actually seeing positive change in action in ways that they could feel and touch on this issue of how we could mentor them. There was a feeling that the 20th century had capitalized on chemistry, but actually the 21st century, really, we need to get our heads around biology. And again, a frustration that was aired is that too many of the established players, whether that be research organizations, knowledge transfer organizations, or policymakers and regulators, really are struggling to help the forward-thinking farmers who actually want to embrace regenerative agriculture, biological farming, and the system is frustrating that. So I think we had a really good conversation. Okay, we made a lot of contacts, we exchanged emails. Are we going to come up with some super new product? No. But I think actually we've made a lot of friendships of shared interest and a shared journey about how we can help mentor each other, how we can learn from each other's experiences. And actually, I thought it was a very refreshing conversation. And I hope the people in the pasture room felt that the course in R in the pasture was as constructive as I felt it was.
Great, many thanks for this testimony. I think there's somebody there putting thumbs up. May I ask you, did you think about putting up kind of a network of pasture questions from peer-to-peer coaching and peer-to-peer exchanges that you could make last in time that could go on?
I've already put on it our network around the Lighthouse Farms, which is a peer-to-peer, and I would encourage people to engage through that and through our Heartland project, which is also on the opportunities there. We've put that there. But did we do anything extra? No. But I think we actually had a very far-reaching conversation between 6 different European countries where practitioners, we're the decision makers, we're the people who actually we need to, it is us and our peers that actually are the people tasked with the responsibility of delivering change, because we're the decision makers. And I thought it was very refreshing. We weren't on, just having that exchange of the observations on what we're doing in each of our farms as a consequence to our changing climate, our ever extreme weather events, and what does it mean for the soil? What does it mean for our trees? What does it mean for our business?
I think you're pointing out a key achievement of this soil health seminar to underline the importance of the role of those who actually have to implement change and to put them in the center again. Thank you very much, and congratulations to your group. What else? What other findings, discussions, exchange, networking have occurred during the last 45 minutes? Something that you also maybe observed all by yourself and you said, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, when I may say something.
Yeah, of course. Go on, please.
I visited the lake where we had a nice discussion about carbon sequestration. I'm working for the advisory services, and it's many of our clients, they have an interest in carbon farming and looking for ways to earn money with carbon farming. So I was very interested in what options there are, but I think we ended with more questions than answers. One of the questions still that needs to be answered is, how can I measure carbon in the soil? Is there an accepted lab analysis to measure carbon in the soil? Now, there are apparently many different ways to measure carbon. When we really want to talk about carbon farming, you should also have a system or something that proves also that you store carbon. And it was good to hear that there is an interesting initiative in Austria. There is a certification scheme for carbon farming, what I learned. So that could be a good start, but also still many questions, and that was also interesting to realize. So it's not that easy. You can easily talk about it. There's a lot of opportunity for a farming community to store carbon, but how to do it exactly and how to prove it, that's still partly an open question.
Mhm. So we have open questions. Maybe some of the participants who weren't at the lake have some information or input. Anna,
I wasn't at the lake, and I'm not an academic, so I can't really give a specific answer. But I was talking to a friend of mine who's a professor at the University of Padova, Francesco Morari, and he was telling me that they're updated. They've been working a lot on measuring carbon in the soil, and there are very interesting results in recent research that are being published already. And he personally did some work on it as well. So I can give you a reference to some of his publications if you are interested.
Yeah, so nice. We missed you in the lake,
yeah.
because you were initiating.
To look around, and I've lost myself in this. In this situation. So just let me know where I should put this these links.
This maybe the two information regarding this on the first hand, you can
measuring
go back
carbon in the soil.
Yeah, you can go to the lake. There is a Google Doc where we took some notes. Maybe you can put it there. And another information, as you saw shortly before, that we have a colleague which is taking notes of our discussions, which will be part of the notes of the event. So those elements that we are discussing now will be kept and shared later. So this will be also a way to reach back on that. Is there any other learnings that we can identify? Yes, please, Eduardo, go on.
Actually, I tried to summarize together with Ineke some outcomes which were discussed in the breakout sessions, particularly that one related to the relationship between innovation and legislation. In a different breakout session, but particularly in that one related to soil and water, we discussed the issue of some innovative practices which are coming out from our project, our activities, our farms. We conflict with the current legislation or regulation. Many times legislation and regulation related to environment do not allow some activities which are either traditional or innovative. For example, one traditional innovative, which was very much widespread in the past, was the realization of small lakes in hilly areas just for summer irrigation or just for the spreading of agrochemicals during the growing season of tree crops, for instance. And these small lakes were very useful also in trapping sediments coming from the erosion of the slope. But these sediments cannot be anymore spread on the soil surface in many countries, or in some countries are very much strictly regulated, but just in some few countries can still be used for as an amendment. So there is the need of a more uniform legislation across European countries to allow these traditional agronomic practices. This is just one example. As for instance, there was the case coming from Portugal, which was very interesting because they are doing no-till and they are not allowed to fertilize with liquid manure on surface. Just they are allowed to use sludge by incorporating into the soil. But as they are trying to implement a conservation agriculture without any tillage, so they do not, they are not allowed to use this liquid manure. So they are trying to suggest an innovation in regulation, allowing the use of sludge on surface, but as precision agriculture. So in very little amount, precisely spread along the rows of corn, just to minimize the volatilization and all the negative feedbacks, consequences of this spreading. So I think that in general, there is this conflict of legislation and regulation and innovation that should be somehow deal with by us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Eduardo, for this insight. I think it's certainly a very important aspect. If I may ask, do you have any clue how we could address this this gap? I think it's important to say we should, but who is we? And,
yes, I think that there are several possibilities. I think that through some project or even specific project, for instance, a life project are rather suitable for this kind of things. But within a Horizon project, it could also be treated. And also among operational groups, I think that we have to rely more on the activity of operational groups. I think that also through the network of operational groups, we can at least make a list of these conflicting regulation between the agricultural sector and the environmental sector. Mm-hmm. Making a survey would be very useful, and to promote the solution through the legislative bodies, the policymakers, of course.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Eduardo. There are important findings or any special offer or tag that attracted your attention that you would like to dig deeper? Somebody said, I think it was Vesna, there were so many that it was going to be difficult. I see the hand of Margot. You would like to share something else with us? Please open your mic and go on.
Yeah, just to let you know, I had some problem with the connection, so maybe I've missed some information, and I'm afraid I might say something in double, but I'll say it anyway. We had a conversation with Celine and Miguel about the demonstration farm and how important they are in the transfer of knowledge and practices. The fact that creating demonstration farm can be really useful, so we can test the practices and make visits of the farmers and explain the results, and eventually work with them for them to start small plots of experimentation in their own farm, and then organize visits between them also, because the farmers really trust what they can see, what they can check on the field, which makes sense. So we were talking about the fact that it's a big part of a transfer of knowledge in agricultural development. And we also mentioned the fact that working with the schools or training centers is really important. Getting the information transferred to the centers for training and education is not necessarily, it's not always done, and it's something that is also really important. For me, I work actually in a training center, high school in agriculture, and the experimentation I manage is in that building. So all the students, all the training person come to the farm, and they really feel like they participate to the different type of practices we put in place. And it really brings a lot of discussion and whatever thought they might have about when we talk about, for example, cover crop. If they have a really strong idea about it, they will bring it, and then we can discuss if it's right, if it's wrong, or how can we measure it, or something like this. So this is also a big part of transferring knowledge and getting all the new farmers who will have their own farm later to start with the biggest vision they can have of all the practices, and be able to choose whatever they want by knowing all the different options.
Right. So maybe you didn't hear, but John has been sharing some similar talks that happened in another group. Maybe you can kind of connect with it. There's the question of peer-to-peer learning, lighthouse farms. I think this is maybe a good connection that you could keep in mind. It's a structured approach which was already quite some successes in transferring and sharing experience among farmers. I think it could be a good inspiration that could strengthen your discussion and go further with it. So I think John will be happy to help you further if that's needed. Thank you for that, Margot. Is there other things that come up? It's very rich, this exchange. It's very valuable to hear all your discussions. So it's a present you do to the assembly if you share your discussions. And I strongly encourage you to open your mic and just tell us your experience from this sort of exploring time we had on the opportunity market. There is a long silence. Is that because you have to look in your notes and find what you have been talking? You don't remember anymore? Yes, Adrian, please.
Yeah, for the breakout session, I struggled with technical issues with getting into the. So what I particularly did, I read through quite a few on the board of interests, which I would like to follow up with. So I've got emails, etc. One of the things which I've done for the last 20 years, which has been I feel has been a real success, and I've seen a lot of the participants within that blossom, and it's very much like what John's saying. But back in the late 90s, I used to farm out in New Zealand, and one of the biggest things they used to do was develop discussion groups. So when I come back to the UK, I worked in working with discussion groups and getting farmers to share their information on farms. So we generally work with about 15 farmers in a group, and we would talk about challenges on the farm, and we'd also look at the financial aspects of each individual business to see where the strengths and weaknesses were in those businesses. And then when we did the farm visit days on those particular farms, we would look at the weakness on that farm, and the group would give all their recommendations in what they felt was a good opportunity to improve their business, improve their profit margins, etc. So now I've changed my role and I now work as an advisory for the Seven Rivers Trust. One of the things I've done for the last 3 years is develop discussion groups. And with those discussion groups, I mean, they have grown quite well, and I've worked these in catchment areas as well. So it falls in with what the Seven Rivers Trust do, and that's looking at how much water falls within a river catchment and how much is intercepted and how much goes to the wayside, which could potentially diffuse pollution, etc. So what we tend to look at very in-depth soil details. So we're looking at the carbon content in the soil. We're looking at the buffer pH, the pH. We're looking at tons of carbon which is found in the soil, and potentially this has been a real strong interest with farmers, knowing how much water they hold on their farms from the rainfall that falls on their land. At the end of the day, farmers are growers, and the only thing you need to grow, like as I said yesterday about milk, 85 to 87% of milk is water, so they need water. And it's the same as crops. I know that it takes between 200 to 1,000 litres of water to grow 1 kilogram of dry matter per hectare. So all these kind of things in a discussion group, it really gets the farmers thriving. The next step for me is to point that into context of how much profit they can make from it. So a typical example every farm I go on, I always ask them what rainfall falls on their farm. And they don't, a lot of them, they got an idea, but they don't really know. But when I ask them how much water falls on their roof space, which could be re-intercepted for reuse on the farm, a lot of them don't know. And when you, and that concerns me, you know, like for instance, our rainfall is changing on a regular basis. You know, within the next 50 years, they reckon we could be doubling in millimeters of rainfall, you know, in comparison to what we're already getting. And the land just can't cope with that unless we do something about it. And that land has got to be what I'm seeing. And it was hit on the head today about talking about compaction, rain compaction. 90% of farms I go on, I see compaction issues, and that needs to be addressed for infiltration, because if we can break down that compaction, that means we've got more water holding capacity, we've got more growing power. And one of the things which I'm looking at working with at the moment is a college which measures dry matter intakes for their cows. So I know at the moment in the springtime, the maximum they'll get off grass is 17 kilograms of dry matter per cow. So they will be measuring how much they need to grow to feed that stock. You know, that's a cheap source of feed rather than buying in feed, etc. But what I'm really keen to learn more on is how much water it needs to grow that. So unless we know how much water is on our farms, we do not know what the full capacity of what our farm is capable of achieving. Things like soil fertility and all that, they come into the mix after soil, same as the carbon in the soil. The more carbon we can store, the more we can hold. And again, that then brings into the other elements of natural flood management, reducing diffuse pollution, and it's all at a preventative measure rather than a fixed measure. And you know, this is something which I've been working very, very closely with my farms, and all the farms I work with, I build a farm plan up from, and it starts from how much water falls on their farm, what their carbon levels are in the soil. I ask them the question how many tons of dry matter they grow. 9 times they can't tell me. So that to me then is a solution. We will find out how much tons of dry matter you can grow on your farm. And therefore, you know, it's a potential benefit for your business, but also it's a potential benefit for the environment.
Great sharing all this. Does this make any echo to other? I understood, Adrian, you're working as an advisor or you support farmers. Does this idea of discussion group make echo to farmers that are with us? Do you think that is a good approach, and what should be the special maybe input or that the advisors and the scientists should bring in those discussion groups from your point of view of farmers?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes, please, somebody.
Yeah, it's David Wallace here. Yeah, Adrian is right. Discussion groups are an extremely efficient vehicle to get information to farmers. Ireland has pushed very hard in the State Advisory Service in setting up the discussion groups. And in fact, we borrowed that idea from New Zealand. And Adrian has touched on all of the positive elements in it, in that farmers, when they collect together, and really the guys like Adrian or myself are just facilitators. We facilitate the engagement or discussion rather than actually handing out a blueprint or telling the farmers what to do. And it's extraordinary once the dynamic begins to move and farmers get comfortable with one another. If you take a typical discussion group with the average farmer having 20 years of experience, because, you know, the age profile of farmers is high, or you know, there's a preponderance of older farmers in Europe. Thankfully, we're beginning to see a younger generation coming in. But if you take an average of 20 years experience, which wouldn't be too far out, and 15 farmers, you now have 300 years experience having a discussion on the day. And just beginning with that alone, and this is everyday part of their lives, yeah, it's extraordinary how good things can come about from it. And particularly with this new paradigm we're entering into, where as we've touched on so many times, and this has been the key issue for me, is how much resonance exists among the participants about the necessity for an integrated approach and a holistic approach to, in other words, it's never discussing elements as single issues is a complete waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's solving nothing. And we have to think, all of us, a bit like farmers who have to deal with everything that's actually happening on their land, rather than singling out a particular issue, because it's all interconnected and interlinked. And yeah, I believe that if EIP-AGRI, through its good offices, could bring about more support for this type of forum for farmers, where the farmers have a facilitator, and I think Adrian would agree with me, it's essential that it is a facilitator rather than somebody talking down to them. I believe that this, certainly for many European farmers, this is the route that should be taken up. Thanks.
Great, thank you, David. Advisors, more facilitators than lesson givers, if I understand. Adrian, you would like to react?
Can I just share one exciting topic which just come off just recently back in August? One of my farmers in the discussion group, we identified on his farm that he had a lot of compaction issues, and we was going to do a trial on the farm, but then COVID hit home, and where we was going to split the paddocks, and we was going to sward lift half the paddock and leave the other up, because we knew that this farm was he was measuring grass for a rising plate meter, so he knew what his growth rates were on the farm. But we couldn't do that because of the COVID. So he just went off his back and went and bought himself a sward lifter, and he worked on just 30% of the farm, just sward lifting, just to alleviate some of that compaction. Now, we had an open window back in August of this year where we had a discussion group day, and when we come to that group, I couldn't stop him from talking out. He was just so excited. But what he was saying to the rest of the group members was that 30% of the farm that he sward lifted, he was saying that increased growth by 40% in comparison to the other 70% of the farm. Mm-hmm. So he was going to sward lift the other 70% of the farm in the current autumn just gone, because what he was seeing was that by sward lifting, he increased his water holding capacity in the soil, which increased his growth rates. And these are the exciting things that comes out of these discussion groups, and is what attracts the discussion group to stay alive. If you don't have very good topics like that, they do go dead, and members do to stop coming. What I also used to do is work on a comparable farm profit. So all farmers are like-minded. They're all farming the same sort of practices, and we look at what it's costed them to produce, from fertilizers, water, everything. Yeah, artificial inseminating, breeding, and we look at the mixed variety. When we put seed in, etc., and we look at what their profit margins are, and each individual farmer we go to, if we look at the group as a whole and we say, all right, okay, he's a little bit lower than everybody else, that will be the topic on that farm. And those rest of those farmers will be putting in their inputs, recommendations to that farmer, and then I would revisit that in 12 months' time to see whether that farmer had input those recommendations and what was the results. And it works extremely well, but it's keep them going, and that's the hard bit. You need initially to get the groups going, you need good funding, but after about 2 to 3 years, farmers are quite happy to put their hand in their pocket because they're getting a lot out of it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we have there a very important key question about how to support farmers in their learning process. And this we call also social learning, the co-learning, the peer-to-peer learning, and in all those questions of change of practice. I'm sure there would be many more things to share. Time is going, and I'm very happy to that we had you with us during those days. We are now heading to the last part of this afternoon, which is looking into your evaluation towards this 2 days that we shared together. And we have a special poll specialist, which is Margarida, and I did it right from the first time. Do you think, I think you would like to bring in some questions to know how people have appreciated this and took advantage of these 2 days.
Yes.
Margarida, please conduct us through this evaluation process.
Yes, Niels, thank you very much. So Ina and I will help you. So we have this evaluation prepared as a poll again. We would like you really to go through the poll and give us your impression on the event. This is important for us because we are always keen to improve our own practices. So please answer to the questions in the poll. We have 8 questions. We'll keep them open until the end of the seminar. So I will drive you now through the 8 questions, but you can still reply to them a little bit longer. Well, there's a prize. If the majority of you answer to the poll, let's say if we have about 40 replies, we promise that at the end of the seminar, when we will be showing the credits, the Service Point team will do a special dance for you. So please answer to the poll. So what are the questions then? So if you go to the poll again, remember on the up right corner of your screen there, you have the icon for the polls. Ina is showing in the screen, and you have there the questions. So the first one is, overall, how useful was the seminar to you? Are you satisfied with the format and the organization of the online seminar? You can say very satisfied or not satisfied at all. Second question, overall, how satisfied are you with the format? Oh, Ina, there is, again, the question is repeated, sorry. So this is the same. Second question is, overall, how useful was the seminar to you? Very useful, useful, or not useful at all? Second question. Third one. Overall, how, yes, thank you, Ina. Oh, we can show you already some ongoing replies. Has the seminar improved your knowledge of how to maintain or improve soil health? So this is on progressing results. So this is not the final answering to the question. As you see, we have now 16 votes only. But the majority of you, let's say close to 70%, are saying, yes, I have gained some knowledge. Third question, did the results of the EIP-AGRI focus group and workshop inspire you to start innovative or research initiatives, to tackle the soil health challenges identified in these events? Yes, very much. Yes, somehow, or not really. With a total of 14 votes so far, 100% of you have said yes, somehow, which is really great. Another question following one is, have you shared any ideas or examples that will help to maintain soil health? First option, yes, I believe I made very significant and relevant contributions. Second, I contributed a little bit. Or third option, no, I was more learning than sharing. So far of you, 70 people have answered, now 18, 19. The majority of you are saying, yes, I contributed a little bit. But still a good percentage are saying, yes, very significant and relevant contributions. Next question, overall, did you feel you had enough opportunity to exchange with other people on the challenges to improve soil health? First option, yes, very much so. I got good ideas how to tackle challenges in my area. Second, yes, but would have liked more opportunities, or not really. So far, 16, 17 of you have answered. Let's say now we have a tie between yes, very much, or yes, but I would like to have more opportunities. Next question, have you met new people or projects with whom you would like to exchange or cooperate after the seminar? Yes, I will contact them to know more about practical examples that were shared. Second option, yes, we might develop a project together, so maybe. C, no, I really knew the people I met, but it was good to exchange during the seminar. D, no, it was hard to get to know people online. Or last option, no, other reasons. So a total of 20 people so far have voted, and the majority, this is really great, are saying that, yes, I will contact them to know more about the examples they have shared. So this is really great. As I said, the poll is open until the end of the seminar. So you can still vote. And as I said, if the majority of you vote,
we already have to dance. Huh?
Yes, we have to dance.
Andres, are you ready? Thank you very much.
If we have 40 for each, then we will do a little dance.
Yes.
Okay.
Minimum 40 is the minimum.
If we reach 50, Pandy will dance alone.
Yeah.
I thought it would be Pacom who would dance with us.
Okay, so this is ongoing. Please vote and you will have a dance in the end, hopefully. So Niels, back to you.
Thank you, Margarita. As you see, the atmosphere in the back office team is very good, and I think it was a pleasure. So we're getting now to the official end.
Just one quick comment.
Yeah. Yes, please.
I
Tina?
think that you don't want to dance because you have to go out of the poll and in again to continue. Often you get stuck. So if you don't give that hint, we might not reach the goal that you have mentioned.
Thank you, Tina, for helping us to have as maximum possible answers. So you have to go out each time to be able to vote again.
I would like to ask.
Yes, please.
I would like to ask if once it's there is a dance in stake, can we answer the poll two times each one?
You can try. I think as we are talking about rain, probably we could make it a rain dance to have more water in our soils, but not too much. Good. Thank you for your good atmosphere and good humor that you bring along. I would like now to give the floor to Kerstin Rosenow. I hope I don't mispronounce your name. You're from the head of unit of research and innovation, and you are supervising EIP-AGRI project, if I'm right. And I think you have been participating a big time. As you could give us our farewell word from your part, we would be very happy. Kerstin, open your microphone and video. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Niels. Now this is a triple challenge for me because everybody's waiting for the dance. So I guess I have to speed up with my closing remarks, but that's fine. So we're at the end of 2 very rich days, and a lot has been said. So as Niels said, I supervise the EIP now for a number of years, and I mean every time again I join a seminar or a workshop, I mean, is absolutely fantastic to see, because that's one of the few opportunities where really we get this direct interaction between practitioners and researchers and bureaucrats, as we are. So, and we are always reminded of the reality it needs to also address the real challenges on the ground. So it was a great pleasure for me to follow these 2 days, the discussions of such a diverse community on European soil experts and practitioners. I really got a glimpse of excellent presentation and very rich exchanges. And I conclude that the seminar, also looking at the evaluation, has been effective in meeting its objective, which was to raise awareness and address practical soil management challenges and solutions for enhancing soil health. For me, this is particularly important also personally, because I also lead the soil health mission, which was presented to you. And this is really key because this is a main societal challenges in terms of soil health. We need to address it, and we can only address it if we really involve the practitioners on the ground and find practical solutions for this. So we know that a huge amount of soil is degraded and unhealthy. We've heard that. But I think we can paint at the end of this seminar not a doomsday scenario, but we can see some more positively that we already have many innovative projects in place working on the reversal of the statistics. Only we need to upscale that, and we need to be very effective in the coming years, because otherwise we will not succeed. The projects we discovered during the seminar address the soil problems, many of them in a very comprehensive manner. I was impressed by that. So not focusing on little parts, but focusing on a number of things, from developing biofertilizers in order to reduce the use of chemicals and mineral fertilizers in agriculture, development of field soil test methods. Some of them I knew already, others I've never heard before. This is always a great moment when you learn something new. And rational cultivation techniques to regenerate carbon farming. I believe that a real inspiration for us were the stories from many farmers during the 2 days. So the success they achieved in promoting soil health proves that sustainable soil management practices can be effectively used, regardless of the size and the character of the farm. So a lot of the inspirational ideas have also appeared during your discussions on soil management challenges and practical solutions to enhance soil health and ensure soil remains soil remains multifunctional. There are already many good practices available in Europe, but we need to make these solutions operational and getting them to those that maybe, I mean, we heard in the beginning, for instance, Kerstin, I heard saying, yeah, but we have so little time to even stick out our head and look what's around. But this is really what we have to make sure that it happens also for farmers, foresters, and other land managers, and that these solutions are more widely adopted. Following on these discussions, there were a number of important and interesting points raised. The need of constant training for farmers and advisors. Really getting something which is useful for those practitioners out there, and ensuring that they have free access to the newest research and knowledge which is adapted to their problems and their situation, not a general one. The importance of advisory support available to all farmers, the necessity of targeted stuff to each individual local and regional problem that we have, or the challenge, and the importance of good soil health monitoring system, where I hope you've seen that we have now, which is unique for the EU, developed under the Soil Health Mission, 8 indicators, which we should use for that. But then we also have to get it out there and have to get it used and have to get it supervised for the results also. So let me reassure you that the above issues are crucial for the European Commission. The collaboration and exchange between researchers and farming practitioners are at the center of what we do. And we've done that development since 2014. We also work on the strengthening of advisory services now as part of the wider agricultural knowledge and innovation system on the research side. And we develop, as you know, the Horizon Europe mission on soil health and other initiatives. So rest assured that this is being taken up. And as also mentioned by our director, Nathalie Soers, in her opening speech, this was the last event under the current work program. So we will close it not with crying, but with dancing. But the EIP-AGRI will continue its work also in the coming months and years, probably most likely in a reinforced manner with many new opportunities and easier administrative operations. And we will keep on providing, or the EIP will provide all of us with unique possibilities to exchange knowledge and to network across the EU, because that's essential. I invite you to check the EIP newsletter also on our website for the updates, for information on good practices and the newest innovative project results, as well as for information on the upcoming networking activities. I would like to thank all the participants for their active participation and really great contributions to this seminar. I hope that what you've learned through the seminar will help you in your further work, and the contacts you made will really result in many new partnerships and projects. Please keep in touch with the EIP, inform us about your new initiatives and also research or innovative ideas on soil health. And finally, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to all the colleagues from the Service Point for the impeccable organization of this event. It's really been amazing journey to work with you, not only on the preparation of this seminar, but throughout all the other activities over the past 7 years, for me 3 to 4 years personally. And the success of the EIP-AGRI network is also your success. So thanks a lot. Let's dance on this, not let's raise a glass, but let's dance. And once again, thanks for all your participation in this.
Thank you very much, Kerstin, for this encouraging words and a very synthetic wrap-up of all what has been said. I think it is just the point of the iceberg of what has happened, and I support completely what all you have said. Some informations for the end of this event. To all of the participants, on next Monday, you will receive an email with all relevant links to presentation, videos, usable question and answer, pictures, and so on. And the seminar report will be published later, probably before middle of May. But this is also something that is lasting a bit longer to harvest together. And from my side, I would like to make a big thank you to the whole back office and the facilitator team from EIP Service Point, because this was a highly technical event, as you have seen. And I think it's important, I would like to suggest that you all use the reaction button and give a great applause to this team, because they have been enabling this this event with technical support, facilitation, expert coordination, and a fantastic team atmosphere that has been possible through this almost more than a year preparation since the beginning, the first steps for this event. And that's it. From my part, I thank you for your active participation, and I think EIP team owes us a dance. Tell us, Margarita, did we achieve the goal?
Yes, I've just
Did we share the results?
Yeah, 48 people answered, so you're entitled to have a dance.
Yeah, and if you still want to answer, it's still open. You can still answer for a few minutes to the evaluation.
So, Ina, the floor is yours, I think, now.
Okay, and if anybody would like to dance with us, please feel free to do.
Dancers. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Thank you to you. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
See you. Bye-bye.